Rive is here. Hi, for the past 15 years, I am bathing in the sales. I was a top salesman in multiple companies. I was running like a couple hundred members in a company that was doing a turnover of multiple millions. And currently I'm running another sales team. So if you are in the sales, did you know that most probably with a 99% probability, you're not gonna survive it for upcoming multiple months, and most probably you're gonna transition into doing something else.
Are you serious?
Hey, by the way, smash that like button if you are so far on this video and subscribe for this channel, because it's gonna give a ton of value to me and the growth of this channel. Thank you. Based on the statistics and what I've actually seen in my life with multiple thousands of recruitees that eventually wanted to start their sales career, the truth is that 99% of them is not sticking. And you should trust me when I'm telling you this, because I was in a part of the mechanism that was hiring on a weekly basis, like hundreds of people. And we were actually even doing statistics after hiring those people, educating them for a couple of months, and then giving them an ongoing education, like within 1 year, like how many people actually stick to that sales job. It was like less than 1%.
No, please, no.
Everything is not that bad as that might sound like, and you still have a chance to survive, you know. And I'm willing to share some of like my own tips. It's not something that I watched on the YouTube and I'm gonna share to you as well. This is just my tips and my journey of how I transitioned actually into the sales and which things actually helped me to be better and strive in this industry. So when I was a factory clerk, I was working in a white printing company and I was responsible for one huge printing machine, okay? So my job was that the material goes in and the right print goes out. And if I do fuck up, I better change it fast, you know, so my boss doesn't see it, you know, and I just throw it somewhere that he doesn't see as well. So I was working there, I was making like couple of €100 at that point. And then one day my boss called to me and he said, hey Rivis, you know what? There is like this, it was like year 2008, 2008. It was a financial crisis. And he said, hey buddy, you know, we might not need you for work tomorrow and day after tomorrow. So we're gonna call you when we will need. Put the phone down. I was like, what the f? And I was like, okay, let's leave it like that. So, and in a couple of weeks, I did understand that I was actually going to work only Fridays and over the weekends. And the problem was that I was paid like I would work the same hours during the daytime, during the weekdays. And I was like, doesn't sound fair, but this is not the story about that, you know. And then I was driving one of my best friends, his name is Yanis, and I was asking, hey buddy, you know, have you made actually the calculations that if we will be actually invited to the work, you know, to work all of that weekends, we're not gonna even make the same amount of the money that we were doing before. And I was like, oh, this should change, you know. And then had the chat with another friend of mine. He suggested me the sales position. I sent everything there, and it was just only one company that I sent my resume. They actually called me and they proposed me with getting the salary the same amount as if I would make there, but a little bit less. And I was in that position where I was like juggling between like a $50, and I was thinking, will I actually earn that $50 in my sales position at all, you know? And does the companies that actually propose the sales position, is there actually realistically to earn that commissions? And I was like, fuck, it was a tough decision. I remember that time, you know, and I was like, well, I'm gonna make it somehow. And guess what? You know, at that point, I made like a 20 or 30 bucks of the commission at that time, but every month from there, I was increasing my salary by 50 euros at that point. And I was like trying to be like really silent at that point, because all of my classmates, at that time I was like, I don't know, 20 years ago, people were just traveling abroad to the UK, Ireland, just to work, they have the works there to earn the money. But through that years, I was starting to make so much money, the same amount of the money that they were making just working abroad. And I was just stayed silent at that particular period of my life. But this is how my sales journey started. And now I'm gonna share like some of the things that actually helped me to stick there, and what was the things and the action steps that helped me to take from where I was then to where I am now. So the very first day of my sales job, I just came into the office, you know, there was these 8 boxes when everybody was working, and actually I didn't have no proper education at that particular spot. I just had, hey buddy, this is the phone, this is the numbers, just go and dial. And before actually making that first call, I took a deep breath out, did like, just let's do it, you know? And I took a call, I ran my first conversation, and I remember that guy, his name was Guntis. He was sitting in the far corner, and he took a look over his shoulder at me after that conversation. And he was asking, who is that freaking guy who did that conversation? Because what I did from my first call, I actually get an agreement that I'm gonna make a proposal for that person. And at that point, I thought, yes, I'm sky high, I'm doing the right thing. Well, eventually this was a good start. It's not gonna be for every one of you starting in the sales. But the lesson number 1 that you should extract here while working in a company, most probably if it's not a startup or something, you should have somebody who's already performing at the top level. And there was multiple guys that were working there. One of them was Maris and the other one was Uldis. And I look at those guys and I was like, one day I'm gonna start closing as much deals as you are closing right now, guys, or even more. So I tried to learn everything from them. I was taking a look of how they dress, how they talk, how they walk. Basically, I was just copying everything. I was trying to get into the relationships with them just to understand how they are doing the things. So that's the lesson number 1, learn from ones that's succeeding in the company. Lesson number 2. So what was it like? Imagine, it was like 10 years ago, the YouTube wasn't such a hype thing, you know, there wasn't that much of the materials. And another thing of how I could learn was the books. So I purchased my first couple of books about the sales. Those are the Latvian books by the local coaches here. But I did read the books from the beginning till the end, like multiple times. I did all of the homeworks that was included in that books. And I remember as today, there was one book that stated that I need to have like some clear goal of how much money I need to actually make. And I remember how I wrote that I want to make 1,000 a month, you know? And it was so crazy when I actually found that book after multiple years, when I was making like a couple of thousand a month, that I saw that writing, and actually it worked. And one of the key factors that worked for me and is the best thing that I think that I am taking from the books, every time I read or watch something, I'm extracting 1 or 2 takeaways. And I was the guy who could execute as fast as possible any takeaways that was relevant to me. Either that was a book, either that was a meeting with the boss. So the third thing that actually helped me to succeed was actually putting into the action as fast as possible anything that I have learned, okay? So as I already told you with the books, but the second thing, most probably you will have some sort of a leader in your company, you know? And usually they do share some knowledge and the wisdom and the things that should be done, you know? And instead of like questioning whether that's a reasonable thing or not, or should I do it or I shouldn't, I just did it, you know, straight after the meeting, the next freaking call, I was using the script or the liner that was told to me, and only after testing it like 5, 7, like 10 times, I did actually evaluate whether I'm gonna continue doing that or I'm gonna stick to the old version of me. And for that exact one reason, I was becoming better and better, and I've become the top closer of the company. And eventually, fun fact, I left that company, and even through the next 5 years, my results was the standard of how the sales rep should grow. And the other side of that, when you're actually putting into the action the things that's being told you by your bosses, mentors, and everybody, is the feedback, man. Because if somebody sees that you actually do the stuff that you get coached on, imagine that other person, what is going to be their motivation into actually pouring back into you if you're actually doing what you're doing. Or you would rather sit and expect that person to pour into you limitlessly, and hoping and praying that the one guy, this motherfucker, is gonna start using something. Switch on the freaking brain and think which is gonna work by the best one. So on the last thing here, eventually I started listening to the sales calls. Oh! Well, eventually nowadays it's nothing super complex, but I did start listening to the calls only at the point in my a sales career when I was a manager of a sales team. So I wanted to revise them, coach them, teach them, and it was 5 years after I started my first sales gig. And at that point, I realized, whoa, if I would be doing that at the very beginning of my sales journey, that would be much easier, So I started reviewing my sales calls. I started extracting, the best things that worked for me, that haven't worked. I started asking direct questions of what needs to be improved and what shouldn't. And I could start learning on the YouTube from others, making notes, putting that into the action, buying the courses, expensive courses, coachings, and being actually around the people who's actually in the sales industry. Fun fact, I bet you don't know, but there is a groups of the salespeople who coach together. The top salespeople of the industry is being in the one room, on a weekly basis, multiple times, training on their skills, instead of you trying to train with somebody who's not actually motivated. So as with everything actually in our lives, the more hours and inputs, the right inputs we actually put towards something, the better results we should expect, of course, if we're doing the right things, So if you are considering to pop into the sales just to see whether that's gonna work or not, I'm not sure whether the market is right now is valid, at least a good offers for you just jumping in and testing it out. So most probably, if you want to take the serious approach of your sales opportunity, I strongly suggest you, based on the learnings, on the way how do you learn, either reading some book before you actually go somewhere and actually attempt to show yourself as a candidate, or just go on a watch 5-10 videos, conspect them, learn something, learn a basic 5 objections, how to overcome them, just do the basics so you can shine at your job interview. If you are already working in some sales company, and you do understand that it is something that you actually learn from the best ones first of all, and then seek for the opportunities of how you can improve yourself. What sort of the courses or the groups you can get in where you can get your skill higher. And by the way, getting your sales skill higher and being better is one of the things that I actually do. You watch the video till the very end, that's a good stuff, man, and I have something to you that is gonna increase the percentage of your sales ratio. So you are gonna close more deals. I'm gonna give you absolutely for free most top 5 objections and how to deal with them if you're gonna press the link below this video. By the way, if you did like this video, smash that like button and subscribe for my channel, because that is gonna help the YouTube algorithms to indicate that this is a good stuff. Share it, send to your friend, and let's help this channel grow together. Thank you, and see you in the next video.